There are 7 neck vertebrae or cervical vertebrae, which can be numbered C1, C2 through C7. These vertebrae are small. The only weight that they are supporting is that of the head. The body tends to be oval and wide laterally as opposed to in the anterior to posterior direction. The vertebral foramen is large, certainly relative to the small vertebrae, but just in general because nerves have not yet branched off to go to the arms and thoracic organs, etc. And it tends to be triangular in shape. The spinous process is short and may have a notch in it. It may be Y-shaped or bifid. The defining feature is in the transverse processes, there are openings known as the transverse foramina. These openings are for the vertebral artery, which passes through these transverse foramina. Actually, when these vertebrae form during fetal development, there are short cervical ribs which then fuse to these cervical vertebrae, and this then encloses this opening through which the vertebral artery passes. The seventh cervical vertebrae, C7, is a bit unusual in looking like a thoracic vertebrae in the length of its long spinous process, although it's obviously still a cervical vertebrae because of the presence of those transverse foramina. The first cervical vertebra, C1, is also called the Atlas, referring to the Greek legend of Atlas who held the entire world upon his shoulders. The Atlas is the only place where the skull is supported. So, for example, there is no connection between the rib cage and the chin. So the skull is supported here and only here. The occipital condyles of the occipital bone articulate with the large superior articular facets of the atlas. And when there is movement between the occipital condyles and these superior articular facets, we are nodding our heads yes. There is no body to the atlas because during embryonic development, the portion which would develop as the body actually then attaches to the second cervical vertebra, C2, which is called the axis, because the axis then has this extra piece attached to it, which is known as the dens or odontoid process. It can then serve as an axis of rotation. The atlas, without its body, can fit over the dens of the axis, and as one pivots around the other, we can shake our heads no.